Hi guys, welcome to our podcast Supposedly Adults, where we are four supposed adults sharing our quote-unquote youthful experiences.
Talking about the most random life topics,
Giving our thoughts that no one cares about.
and just trying to make life suck less.
That's right, so I'm Jensen.
I'm Melody.
This is Calvin.
And this is Lyris.
And today's random question is 2020? Who was that? Hi everybody. Welcome to the end of 2020. How are you guys feeling about 2020 ending in a few days? It's obvious, it's honestly insane to think about. I know I say that every time, but this year went by so quickly. I don't even remember what happened.
But it also
it's really bad.
But it also feels like it's been 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like nothing happened, but it's been way too long. Like it's just a weird feeling to have.
So let's just start with like a fun activity and use 3 words to summarize your 2020. My 3 words would be uncertainty, balance, and priorities. And I can go a little bit more in depth later. What about you, Lyris?
Okay. Mine is like super emo, so don't judge, I guess, because it's honestly like looking back, it's hilarious, but it's true. Like the first one is pain, and then it's change, and then work. So that's like my 3 words. It's kind of sad.
Oh yeah, because you just started working this year.
Yeah, but it's not
Welcome
that
to the
work.
workforce.
I know. I don't even remember. I started as a student this
Does
year.
it feel like it that you graduated
I
this
forgot
year?
that I was a student this year. I was like, wait, what? I was so confused. Okay, anyway.
All right, Calvin, what's yours?
2020. 3 words to describe 2020 would be no classes needed. That's my 3 words.
Why?
What does that even mean?
Do you know, like, when I saw that at first, I thought it was like about, like, first of all, I thought you got like LASIK, like LASIK test or whatever.
I honestly thought your vision got better.
Yeah, I thought that, and I was like, oh, or is it like a funny pun about like 2020 looks like glasses or whatever? I was so confused.
Wait, so Calvin,
I don't get how you guys don't get it. 2020 vision. That's why you don't need glasses. No glasses needed. That's good. But also,
It's
that's a good
good.
point is that 2020 I gained clarity, I guess, in a way. I learned a little bit more about myself, so now I don't need to wear glasses anymore.
Wow.
Kind of like that,
So-
I guess. Nothing's tainted anymore.
So deep.
Ta-da.
Okay.
It's very deep. I feel like I'm a very deep
Metaphor.
dad
I'm gonna let that
person.
joke slide.
So Jensen, what's your 3 words?
Okay, mine's a little obscure, but I guess to sum it up, it's kind of cliche, but when, like, if you're asking me this question, my first 3 words that jump to me is Black Lives Matter. Yeah, so I think to explain it, like how Calvin did it, like it's a reference to, I guess, a big thing that's happened this year that I feel is quite important in my life to acknowledge as well as to remind people that it's still happening, this movement is still important, but also relating it to myself, it kind of reminds me about like the fortunes and privileges that I have in my life that compared to other news stories we hear, or the people that we know of, people who like got COVID, or know of people who have passed away from COVID, or even just other terrible things. Yeah, so it just kind of, all these little misfortunes remind me again about the privilege, or not little misfortune, all these kind of big and massive misfortunes to other people remind me how privileged I am, and like, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And I also like realized that like a lot of us, like the words that we have is like about, you know, change or uncertainty, and I feel like everyone,
Right.
like I think it's like a universal experience, because like 2020 is the time of uncertainty, because everything is
Yeah,
canceled. We have to like everything is changed, yeah, for everyone.
Right?
Yeah, I think for me as well, because I feel like 2020 itself is a huge, like there's a lot of changes, and like 2020 for me, like even without COVID, it should have been like my transitional year, because I graduated this year from uni, so I have to transition from student to adult, I guess. And it's been really rough. Like it's like a full quarter life crisis thing, and it's I can imagine like it being very hard in itself, but then like adding 2020 to it, so it's been like crazy, because it's like transition among transitions. It's like I wasn't able to move on from my past life, like my student life, because my final year was like all at home, so I have zero closure for it. So I was like very still like holding on to that student life, but at the same time I
graduation.
can't. Yeah, and I also cannot plan for the future because I'm like, okay, then I'll like work now, but then I can't because like I literally don't even know whether I can go out for dinner next week. So it's like I genuinely cannot plan for anything. So I'm just kind of like very stuck in this like uncertain thing. So it's been, you know.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm a bit of a control freak. I feel like this is one thing that I learned about myself in 2020 is that I like things being under control and like knowing. So I like to plan out what I'm doing tomorrow, and I have to plan the entire day. But the thing with 2020, it's honestly forces me to learn to just let go and not be so obsessed with the idea of having control, because you honestly cannot plan 1 week ahead of you because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if restaurants are going to open. You don't know if, you know, a park will be open even. So I feel like that has definitely put me in my place. And I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but my coping mechanism, I know it's very weird, but my coping mechanism, it's literally just to work more. And added on to work from home, it's not helping because now I used to be able to go to work and then know that, you know, work is done for the day and then I go home. But now because I work at home, it kind of all merges together. So I realize that I actually work longer hours. And at a point, you know, let's say at 8 p.m. at night, if I don't have anything to do, I sit there and I start to become agitated and anxious because I'm like, why am I not doing something? Why am I not productive? So I think that is like definitely a huge lesson for me this year.
Pretty sure you're the only one learning that lesson. Who
I
works
know.
more when you're working
Unrelatable
from home?
content
That
much?
makes no
Like,
sense.
girl.
0 sense. It's regardless.
Literally.
How does
Everyone would be
because you
like-
don't because you don't know, like, you don't have a cut off end work time now, so you kind of just bleeds over in terms of work, right?
Yeah, I don't have a cutoff end time either because I don't
Exactly.
start.
No,
Therefore, there's no
You know,
cutoff.
for me, it's really bad because I'm like in the morning, I'm like procrastinating. I'm like, oh, I'll do that later. I'll be home the whole day, right? And then by the time we're like 5 or 6, I'm like, but it's like I'm technically off work hour. Like I should have some me time. Like I shouldn't do it until like tomorrow, and then like end up I didn't do any work. Do you know what I mean?
I guess 2020 to me, what I learned more about myself is that you just need to be more open and honest with yourself. And that's the only way to be open and honest with other people. Because 2020, I guess this year is a little bit different. And then it really forces us to communicate more because we can't really physically see each other. So that everything happened on Zoom, like, you know, right now. And also, so it just forces me to really kind of recognize what I need and then communicate that to other people, and also just really verbalize my thoughts. So that's kind of like my biggest learning, because a lot of times I think we kind of shared that before, where we just kind of like keep everything to ourselves, a little bubble, everything is nice and shiny. It's great, but then like this year, just really try to communicate what I need. How am I feeling?
Yeah.
And that's the only way to move past it, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's why like 2020 is important for me in that aspect.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's like communicating to others, but like most importantly to yourself, because I feel like 2020, because for most people, there's a lot of things that happen that are maybe unfortunate or out of your expectation. So there's always like this cycle. Like for me personally, right? I've always like described my 2020 being like a huge roller coaster, but like it's only like, it's not even like up and down roller coaster. It's only that part where you go in like the 360, like the this thing. Just keep going there, because like for me, I have like bursts of like really like dip in my mental health. So for example, when I first learned that I cannot go to school like face to face, I was really upset, because I'm like, oh gosh, like I have to spend the last semester at school like at home, right? So I was like a really dip, and then like after some time passed, I'm like, okay, you know what, that's how it is. I'm just gonna restart. I have to like hold myself together and keep going, and then like another thing happens and it dips again. So it's like for me, it's like a non-stop like cycle. Like there's a burst of energy at some point being like, you know what, like this week is my week, I'm gonna take control of my life, and then something bad happens, I'm like, oh gosh, it sucks, and then like it's like a non-stop loop, and it could be really tiring, like, because it's feel like, okay, it's never gonna get better, because it's like, oh, whenever I feel like somewhat better, it's just gonna go to shit again, something like that. So that's like a thing.
Yeah, but I feel like yeah, because that actually reminded me of a very fancy quote that I remember. It's the fact that because of uncertainty or because of constant change, there is never going to be permanent darkness. There will also not be permanent high. So there is no point in fearing the darkness. There's also no point in holding on to the goods. Because I think that is where a lot of struggles or a lot of pain or a lot of hurt comes in. It's, hey, we used to be good, or hey, yesterday was good, I had a great day yesterday, why am I feeling shit today? And now you try to hold on to yesterday's feeling, and that is why, you know, you feel even more miserable than you are, because now you have comparison, now you have contrast. So I always feel like when you accept change as a constant, again, it all sounds a very cliche tattoo, but then if change is actually always going to happen, then it would help you understand not to attach to the current highs or not to attach to the current lows, because it's going to continue to happen. So if you're feeling shit today, it's fine. It's okay for you to feel shit, but then know that it could change tomorrow. And if it's great right now, don't try to hold on to it, because it might not be there tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, well, since we're sharing quotes, I have this quote I really like. It's called, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." I thought that quote is amazing. It's because basically you're saying that you just kind of carry on, like every day you just kind of keep doing your own thing, like whether you're being enlightened or not, it doesn't matter. You kind of keep going with the flow, keep enjoying living in the moment. That's how I interpret it. I guess that's why 2020 to me, I know it has been a horrible year. You know, the world is going crazy, fires everywhere and all that. But to me, 2020 wasn't that bad, I guess. It's just because, like, at the beginning, yeah, it was like a little bit of a learning curve, because, like I said, I learned a lot about more about myself, right? But then, and also at the beginning, felt like every day is a Wednesday, because it doesn't matter, it's a weekend, Monday, Friday, it doesn't matter. Every day feels like the exact same thing. But in a way, it's actually good, because you just kind of carry on, kind of try to practice to have the same mindset. That's kind of how I passed the past year, because every day just kind of like have the same routine, try to talk to the same people. So in a way, it's a, I don't know, because I feel like there's so much noises, it's too chaotic, and then it's sometimes kind of hard to find a place, find a time for yourself. And 2020 really do provide that space and time for you. I don't know if that makes sense. So that's why I felt like you kind of have to establish a routine and realize that, oh, you know what? It's okay. Like, things are going around, but as long as you are in a good place, then it's okay.
Yeah, I think exactly. Like, sometimes it feels like you're not achieving anything because you're going in circles. But the thing is, like, you survive the circle. That's an achievement in itself, right? Like that. Some people can't even do that. So, like, pat yourself on the back for doing that. So I think that's good.
Yeah. No, I also feel like it's again the expectations that driving you nuts, and that's making you really sad, because that reminded me of a story of my friend who just moved to London in March. So she was super excited, and she moved with her fiance to London to start this new job. Literally the week she landed, it went into a complete lockdown. So since March, she hasn't been into the office. She hasn't met any of her new colleagues in person. She hasn't been able to explore the city, and she's just been home every single day. And she told me, one time we were FaceTiming, and she told me she was really sad, and she started always, every time she thinks about it, she starts crying, and at night she would feel like, oh, it's a great productive day today, and then once she thinks, oh, tomorrow will be the exact same thing, then she starts break down crying, because it's gonna be the same thing over and over and over again, and it's never ending. And when we were FaceTiming, I asked her, okay, so imagine if everything is normal now, what are you gonna do?
Right.
And she actually took a step back and thought about it for a few seconds, and she's like, oh, you're right. I guess it wouldn't be a lot different. It would just be, maybe going to grocery shopping on the weekends and then come back and cook, which is basically what I'm doing right now. Going to work and then, maybe occasionally going out for dinner or going to the park for a picnic, which is some things that she is kind of doing. So a lot of times I feel like it's the expectation, like, oh, what could we do when the world is normal? I could have been doing all these and I'm not, and that's why it sucks, and that's why I'm trapped inside and I'm angry. But if you were actually free, or if things were normal, you would probably be doing the same thing too. So I feel like it's the mindset of expectation that puts you in so much pain and struggle, I personally feel like.
Right. And then similar to Calvin, I suppose, like for me, just to talk a bit more about like this year, since we're kind of recapping, I would say, yeah, again, similar to Calvin, this year was kind of better for me in terms of, like after this year, I realized how much my happiness is kind of very relative to others. And I guess it's a very superficial way to look at it, but, like from my experience, this year everyone is stuck at home. But to be fair, my habits, like last year, especially in uni, I didn't really go out that much, or at least compared to how other people are making out to be, like, or they're going out to eat lunches, dinners. Most of my time is always like staying in my own house studying, and then now there's an added benefit of during university I don't have to go to the department. I can actually watch lectures in my own pace. Then with this additional time, and a lot of societies are not doing that much this year, so with this additional time I've been kind of learning new skills for myself, even though it's a lot of independent learning, and like I guess what's the point since I'm in uni, but it's better for me because this year I could chart my own pace. I can learn new skills like knitting, like plant growing that I mentioned before, I think. All these new things coupled with the political situation going on that makes me feel like, wow, compared to other people, this year hasn't been that terrible for me. And sometimes, like, to bring it back to, I guess, the thought process of Lewis, sometimes when I reflect on it, I kind of feel bad because, again, why should I deserve all these benefits from this year? Why should I be feeling this way? And sometimes, again, I do feel like it's a roller coaster in such a way where sometimes I do feel sad for like absolutely no reason. And then I think a couple of days ago I had one of those moments, and then I tried to get out of it really desperately, like just saying like, in my role in society, I'm I have a good education, preparing myself for a good career. My parents are very supportive of me. I have friends who reach out to me. Why do I feel this way? I feel like shit, I need to get out of that bump, like literally. But at the same time, it's putting that kind of expectation, putting too much pressure on myself, where it just sometimes you just need a bit of time to get used to what is happening, get used to what's going through in your mind, and then when you're in a better state, you can actually change something, or accept this uncertainty better.
I completely agree with you. Like, I think that is it. Like, for me, for example, like, I think, like, in Buddhism or, like, in a lot of religion, I think, sometimes you have a certain thing that you should, how you should think in a certain way. Because sometimes, I feel like sometimes there are different things that, like, you have certain expectation in how you should think, or like you have like some sort of rules, like you have to be positive, like, and stuff like that. So sometimes, like, when you have one thought, just like Jensen, right, you're like, I am sad, and immediately you're like, oh, you shouldn't feel sad, you should be positive, you should be grateful for what you have, right? But then the thing is, and then you try to like suppress it, and then, but that doesn't really work. I think that's like something that really like helped me. Like, it's like during therapy, I learned, I always thought that I have awareness because I'm like, oh, I know I'm sad, but I'm actually not actually having awareness of it because I am suppressing it and I'm judging it. So like, it's really trying to hear yourself. Like, you would hear your friend, right? If your friend tells you that she's sad, you won't be like, oh, you shouldn't feel sad. You'll be like, oh, why do you feel sad? And like, let her elaborate. I think that's how we should do that to ourselves as well, right? We should really hear ourselves with that, really letting ourselves talk without like any interruption and without any judgment, just let them talk first. Like, oh, I'm feeling sad. Oh, this thing is shitty. It's okay to think that something is shitty sometimes, right? And then after that, we can rationalize it. But we have to start with really letting ourselves finish it without any judgment. I feel like it's hard for any of us to do.
No, I totally relate to it, and I feel like it's kind of funny how, you know, all of us kind of have similar learning experience, I guess. Like, you know how earlier I said no classes needed, where I could learn a little bit more myself, because you need to learn to recognize what you're feeling, like exactly what you're saying, like to be able to verbalize this. Actually, you need to kind of think about it a lot more, and I guess in this instant, I really do have to thank my girlfriend, because, you know, I learned to really talk to her about it, talk through my feelings and try to really understand how am I feeling, how are my feelings and all that. I guess that's how I get to the point where I try to be more neutral, because I kind of learn about how I feel, and that is really important, because I feel like you need to understand what is the root of your sadness, and then you'll be able to tackle it. Instead of just like, you know, like you said, oh, paper over cracks. It doesn't really do anything. You need to really understand it, you know, fix it foundationally, and then you can be better.
Yeah.
So I really have to thank her. I'm very grateful for that. So yeah.
No, but I feel like I'm learning so much from Lyris's therapy sessions, because she would come back and I'd ask her about it.
You're
what did you learn?
I feel like you should help me like pay half of it, girl. Like, I feel like, come on, man.
Because I'm constantly taking notes from what she's learned, and I'm like, yes, let me try to apply this. But I think that is super. Yeah, I think this is very common. I mean, they manifest in their own ways, based on each of us. But then I feel like ultimately it's the same thing. It's just how do you cope with the constant change, and it doesn't have to be 2020. Even if all the vaccine work and in 2021 everything goes back to normal, change will still happen. There will still be constant changes and things that happen out of nowhere. So I guess it is an important takeaway for us this year, just to embrace the moment, know that it's not gonna be forever, and it will be better as long as you're taking solid steps every moment of the way, and making the best decision in your own context and in your own state. Make the best decision, and then, you know, causality is a thing. If you put in good vibes, if you put in good energy, if you put in a good cause, if you put in a good seed, then good things would blossom, and good things would come out of it. So I am hopeful of 2021.
Yeah, and like, let yourself be sad. That's fine, y'all. Like, just be nicer to yourself. Like, life sucks already. Like, you don't have to give yourself extra pressure for doing that. Yeah.
And we're here to make it suck less.
I would just like to add on, like, not to kind of encourage people who like, it's always a balance, especially when we talk about that mental health thing, where we don't want to encourage people to be sad all the time. But from what an advice that I received, I forgot when I mentioned it on this podcast, so I'm viewers if I'm repeating a point.
They won't listen to every episode. Just like, it's fine.
So someone told me that when you're beginning to doubt yourself of why you're feeling these kind of unhappy thoughts, that you tend to ruminate. Like, for me, I ruminate, oh my god, I'm so fortunate, I shouldn't be thinking about this, blah 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 blah, and I have all these reasons listed out. But just recognize that, okay, I'm thinking these very long chain of thoughts right now. Let me just take it away, put it at a side, and then carry on with life. Because literally, after a while, things can change. There's uncertainty in life. You won't really dwell on it too much, so don't put too much attention on these negative feelings that you keep telling yourself. Don't put yourself in the same rabbit hole. Let yourself have the opportunity to accept what you're feeling, and then hopefully grow from it at a later time.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's so beautifully put. I'm so moved right now. It's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did I say this before? Okay,
I don't think you did.
I don't think you did.
Yeah. I said something new and useful.
No, that's great. I guess being a plant daddy does change things for you. And
Ew,
put you
stop
in
saying the
different
word daddy.
perspectives.
Stop.
Again,
Call me daddy.
Father.
don't call me. No. I don't like that.
The father. Is that better?
Papa.
Yeah, no, the D word that doesn't sound right. Okay, I feel like wait. So since we did like our 3 words for 2020, let's do something different and fun. What are your 2021 resolutions?
Yo, I actually
In terms
heard.
of what?
Okay, my friend told me this, and I was like, "Oh, is that your resolution to read more in 2021?" And she's like, "Nope, it's not, because if I don't set it as a resolution, there is a slight chance for it to work. If I put it as my resolution, it will never
I'll
work."
never do it, right? I know.
And there is truth to it.
Lol.
There is truth to it. Okay, for me, I feel like my greatest learning is to focus on one thing, or not resolution for 2021, is to do one thing a day.
Oh my
And
God, okay,
not
yes,
try to overwhelm yourself and not try to achieve everything in one go. Like what Jansen
Right,
said, let's say if I'm feeling sad today, let's just focus on one thing. Maybe, do something fun for yourself or do something good for yourself and not try to achieve everything in one go. I think that would be the resolution for my 2021.
Same. I'm just gonna hop on that because it's super similar to what Melody said. My one is also to focus on one thing. I guess like in terms of for me, in terms of like I've been learning a lot of skills this year, but then I kind of want to narrow it down and focus on one so that I can maintain this consistency for myself. So yeah, just want
That's
to put
good.
that.
Jansen,
What
I
about you two?
expect a knitted hoodie next Christmas.
Oh no, so knitting is like a side project. That's not the thing.
Okay, I want a plant from you.
That's also not really the thing that it's like it's.
It seems like
You
there's
know
more
what?
than one thing,
Just a
Jansen.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that, see, this is why I need to be more consistent. So I've learned all these additional skills, which is great to
Right.
know. But it's not something which I can like
Got it.
develop
Okay.
fully,
Okay.
So when the time is right, I will.
All right.
Okay, great.
So again, you too.
I don't know. Like now, I don't know if I can say mine because you guys put it so philosophically. Oh, I want to grow as a person. To me, I don't really have anything. I'm very realistic. I just want to publish 3 journal articles.
That's so cool.
That's my goal.
No, that's so badass.
That's
It's
my
a very
that's my.
quantifiable
Yeah, I think that's
goal.
like-
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
That's a good resolution. For Melodies and I were like really vague. Focus on one thing, even though we still do a lot
When
of other
it's
shit.
vague, you can kind of convince yourself that you achieved it. When it's quantifiable, you cannot make excuses.
Okay, just a small thing. Okay, yeah, but also I tried to make it quantifiable like 2 years ago. I only did one thing that on that list. So that did not work out. So I'm trying a different
Yes.
resolution.
It'll
thing.
work.
That's
We'll
okay.
review again by the end of next year. What about you, Lewis? Have you come up with one yet?
I don't know. I think I just have to go vague because I don't know yet. I never have any resolution. I think that's like the thing. You never fail if you never.
I think you know yourself very well. That's why you
Yeah.
don't set one.
Right? I know. No, I think I'll just be like very general and be like, okay, I think I'll continue this, like, to just be nicer and be more aware of myself to really know. Like my therapy session, I'm identifying different voices in my head. Like for now I have 2. I have my inner critic and I have my my impulsive child. So I have 2 now. So I hope I can identify, like, I don't know, 5 more, make it quantifiable, right? I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess one last advice to wrap it all up is to enjoy the roller coaster ride, guys.
Honestly.
Just go with the ride. If it's up, it's up. If it's down, it's down. It's not
Yeah.
gonna stay the same, so don't worry.
That's true.
So yeah, Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Have a
Year.
great year.
Happy
Bye bye.
holidays.